What does it feel like to be underestimated, only to hold the key to everyone's fate? Lila stood in the gleaming lobby of Viridian Enterprises, her heart pounding like a drum against her ribs. The glass walls reflected her carefully chosen outfit, a modest navy blazer and skirt, her dark hair pulled into a neat bun. At 24, she looked like any other nervous candidate, clutching a leather portfolio, her palms slightly damp. But Lila wasn't just any candidate. She carried a secret, one that would soon turn this sterile corporate world upside down. The interview room was a battlefield of egos. 3 panelists sat across from her. Mr. Hargrove, a graying executive with a permanent smirk, Miss Claire, whose sharp eyes dissected every word, and Mr. Patel, who seemed more interested in his phone than in Lila. The air was thick with judgment as Hargrove leaned forward, his voice dripping with condescension. "So, Miss Everett, is it? Tell us why someone with your limited experience thinks they deserve a senior analyst role at Viridian." Lila's resume was deliberately sparse, listing only a generic degree and a few internships. She'd insisted on anonymity, wanting to earn this position on her own terms. But Hargrove's tone stung. She took a breath, steadying herself. "I believe my analytical skills and fresh perspective can drive innovation here," she said, her voice clear but soft. Claire snorted, barely hiding her amusement. "Innovation? Sweetheart, this isn't a startup sandbox. We deal with billion-dollar accounts." Patel glanced up, chuckling. "Maybe you'd be better suited for the mailroom." Lila's cheeks burned, but she kept her composure. She answered their questions with precision, citing market trends and financial models she'd studied for years. Yet each response was met with raised eyebrows or dismissive nods. Hargrove even interrupted her once, saying, "Let's not waste time on textbook theories, dear." The word "dear" landed like a slap. Inside, Lila's resolve hardened. She wasn't here to be patronized. She was here to prove a point not just to them, but to herself. Growing up as the daughter of Viridian's founder, Richard Everett, she'd been shielded by privilege but suffocated by expectation. Everyone assumed her path was paved with favors. So, she'd chosen to step into this room as a nobody, to face the fire of scrutiny without her father's shadow. As the interview dragged on, their questions grew sharper, their smirks bolder. Claire asked, "How would you handle a high-stakes client meeting? Hypothetically, of course, since you've probably never been in one." The room tittered. Lila's pulse quickened, but her voice stayed steady. "I'd listen, assess their needs, and present data-driven solutions with confidence. Like I'm doing now." Hargrove laughed outright. "Confidence? You're barely out of college. What could you possibly know about real leadership?" That was the moment. Lila's eyes narrowed, a spark igniting within her. She set her portfolio down and leaned forward, her voice cutting through the room like a blade. "I know more than you think, Mr. Hargrove, and I know Viridian better than anyone here." The panel froze. Claire's smirk faltered. "Excuse me," she said. Lila stood, her presence suddenly commanding the space. "My name is Lila Everett, as in Richard Everett's daughter. I've spent my life studying this company, its numbers, its people, its soul. I didn't come here to beg for a job. I came to show you what I'm capable of, without a name to prop me up." Silence swallowed the room. Hargrove's face drained of color. Patel's phone slipped from his hand. Claire's mouth opened, but no words came. Lila didn't stop. "You mock my experience, but I've analyzed every quarterly report since I was 15. I've sat in on board meetings you'll never see. I could recite our client portfolio blindfolded. So, let's try this again. Ask me something worth my time." The air shifted. Hargrove stammered, We didn't know." "That's the point," Lila cut in. "You judged me before you knew me. That's not how Viridian should work. We value talent, not assumptions." She turned to Claire. "You asked about high-stakes meetings? Last summer, I negotiated a $50 million deal with Horizon Corp off the record, of course. Check the files." Patel scrambled to pull up records on his tablet, his fingers shaking. Claire's eyes widened as she whispered, "She's telling the truth." Lila didn't gloat. She didn't need to. The room was hers now, not because of her last name, but because she'd earned it. She sat back down, her voice softening but no less powerful. "I want this role because I can make Viridian better, but I won't work for people who dismiss potential just because it doesn't look like they expect." Hargrove cleared his throat, his arrogance gone. "Miss Everett, we apologize. Your insight is remarkable. We'd be honored to have you. Lila smiled, but it wasn't warm, it was victorious. Good. Now, let's talk about how we're going to turn around the Q4 projections. As she left the room, the panel still reeling, Lila felt lighter than she ever had. She'd walked in as a nobody and walked out as herself, not just the founder's daughter, but a force in her own right. The world would underestimate her again, she knew that. But she also knew she'd always be ready to own the room. The lesson wasn't just for them. It was for anyone who'd ever been doubted, dismissed, or diminished. Your worth isn't in what others see, it's in what you prove. Lila Everett had proven it, and she'd never let anyone forget it.